What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here alongside Josh Davis, and the Philadelphia Eagles have made another signing, which honestly is somewhat of a head-scratcher, as the Philadelphia Eagles, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, which if you're joining us right now, you're seeing it up there shortly on your screen, if I can get my thing to go ahead and work, they have signed a wide receiver, which is kind of strange, Josh, mainly due to the fact that they don't need one, and this one is a little bit interesting. So as you see up on your screen, DeVante Parker, a one-year, $4.69 million fully guaranteed deal, of which Philadelphia has to pay only $1.2 million, and New England pays the rest. So you don't have to necessarily, pay him a full $4.69. DeVante has thrown in great money on Philadelphia Eagle and helped his elite organization win a championship, said Parker's agent Jimmy Gold. And so Philadelphia has a new, I guess, wide receiver 3, Josh?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a good question, and who knows exactly. But it's an official move, so hey, we got something because you and I have been texting about it. I know everyone has what's going to happen with Justin Simmons, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. We'll get into that in a second. But yes, like you got DeVante Parker. I don't know if it's really going to be or amount to a whole lot. I've seen, kind of reactions just initially, but it's a depth signing. This is, honestly, it wouldn't shock me if he doesn't really play a whole lot or even gets that roster spot, quite honestly, because, like you were talking about, it's just not really a type of player that you go, oh, wow, that's a lock for wide receiver 3. There's possibly better options. You maybe draft a player. There's, names that you could throw out there on that side. But, hey, this is how he does. It's a low risk, high reward type of signing. If he produces pretty well, or you feel like, hey, he's going to be confident as a wide receiver 3, great. But New England's the one that has to pay the majority of that contract. So, you do it for 1.2. It doesn't cost a whole lot, and you semi-solidify a need. I'm all right with it because honestly, as we've been saying, like you want to solidify as many needs as possible before you go into the draft, and not that you necessarily go, okay, again, like wide receiver 3, check, we're done. But still, it's like, okay, you're serviceable. You have some other guys that can compete for it too. Probably just a depth signing. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's nothing earth shattering. It's the ones that I see already in the comment section of we're waiting for a safety, a CJ Gardner-Johnson, a Justin Simmons, anything like that. But again, Howie doing what Howie does. And anytime you get a cheap player like that, that's fine. We'll take it.
We'll get to all the rumors here coming in a second. I had to look. It's like, when was the last time was DeVante Parker actually good? And the answer is 2019 was his last 1,000-yard years with the Miami Dolphins. So the Miami Dolphins, DeVante Parker, that the Eagles had reportedly been interested in multiple off seasons ago. I mean, there have been multiple times where it's like maybe DeVante Parker comes in pre-A.J. Brown, pre-Devontae Smith, and the fact you get him now at the age of 31, and I saw a tweet a couple of minutes ago, he has like one of the worst separation rates of any receiver in the league, but he was also on the Patriots, who had one of the worst offenses in the league. And so I guess the thought process is not going to bring Quez Watkins back. Julio Jones probably not back as well. Does he take the Julio Jones role? Is he just kind of a veteran body, play in camp and hope he makes the roster, as you mentioned? I'm not sure. It's a little bit of a strange move, but Philadelphia's not going to sign blockbuster people, every second of every day. They need to make a couple of depth signings. We talked about, Matt Hennessy was signed, obviously. They got Bond, the linebacker. Those aren't anything crazy. Same thing goes for DeVante Parker, but I think we're all kind of waiting for the big defensive fish to fry. And you see in the comments section, people are all wondering, when are you going to get DeVante or a C.J. Gardner-Johnson or a Justin Simmons or somebody else? We saw reports from, I'm not going to say reputable sources, but there are a lot of people on Twitter who claim to have sources. ML Football is a good example of that, saying, oh, they're close with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Oh, they're close with Justin Simmons. And it's 4:30 Eastern time now, Josh, and there's been no Justin Simmons signing. There's been no C.J. Gardner-Johnson signing. Do you think we get something from a safety position at all in free agency?
We better. We need to. I mean, I guess the rumors or the reports, and it seems like it's legit because we had it from some reputable sources, like a Diana Rossini and others, that Xavier McKinney was an option, right? Like, so that was close to happening. It was the Packers, it was the Eagles. Right. We all know it didn't happen, but still you glean from that and say, okay, well, Howie's very interested in spending big for a safety. Like, he wants to go and do that. It's priority. Will he continue to do it? I think that he learned his lesson from last season whenever it was, let's go pay Darius Slay and James Bradbury instead of bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So to me, it feels like, yeah, you're going to get a deal done. The question is, who is it going to be? And like you just talked about, who knows? If you're reading the tea leaves of these reports on Justin Simmons or C.J. Gardner-Johnson, you could just say it's either one. It doesn't, or even throw out another random name. But I do feel like it's going to be probably between one of those two. And I can't imagine he's going to take too much longer, man. I see comments here, like Kareem saying, I don't like how he's signing offense when defense is bottom 5. Like, we're all there with you. Like we
Right.
know that the defense is not done, but Howie does too. It's just I think this is telling you a little bit more signs of okay, he's doing his due diligence, he's working out the deals. Obviously, the market is not crazy hot because
Right.
deals would be going, through the roof. Simmons would be gone, CJ Gardner-Johnson would be gone. So teams and players are maybe having conversations with the agents, figuring things out. And then, also let's not forget too, but there could possibly be something in the works in terms of trading. Like if a team's like, hey, we're interested in Josh Sweat. Okay,
Right.
well, let's try to get something else worked out. And if Howie's looking for compensation in a way or draft picks or whatever, that may factor into, okay, hey, I want to go after CJ Gardner-Johnson, or no, I want to go after Justin Simmons. So there's tons of things that, again, we don't know, and it's just speculation and trying to figure everything out. But it is hard and difficult because like we've been talking about here, as soon as you and I we'll text, hey, look at this, like it's a potential. They're they're
Yeah.
garnering interest in a certain player, and we're sitting here at 4:30 Eastern time, and it's quite honestly been a little bit of a dull day, and I didn't expect it to be that way. I felt like it'd be just keep coming from after yesterday's performance, and it's slowed down. But that it's fine. They can't all be Saquon Barkley days, I suppose. But defense will be addressed. Rest assured, it will be addressed.
I think when it comes to Justin Simmons and mainly C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I think the free agent safety market was really Xavier McKinney and then a whole bunch of other players. And the fact that the Eagles were really number 2 in terms of trying to get McKinney along with the Packers and lost yesterday. McKinney set the market, $17 million a year, $18 million a year. But I think we're waiting, at least Howie is, for one more safety to go to kind of reset the market back to the rest of the pack. Like McKinney was very much viewed as this like top of the line, young 23, 24-year-old safety. He's going to be a superstar in this league. He gets superstar money. Justin Simmons is over the age of 30. Gardner-Johnson had injuries the past 2 years. Not that great of a year overall with the Detroit Lions. He's still young, but I think that you're waiting for a little bit of a pullback move to reset the market for the safety spot, because I think right now Justin Simmons is going, hey, I want Xavier McKinney money. Give me $15 million a year. And Howie's sitting back and going, okay, well, obviously I'm not going to give you $15 million, and we'll just wait and see another safety go, like a Cam Curl, for instance, at Quandre Diggs, and then we can go ahead and reset the market. So that's probably what's going on right now, as people are trying to go ahead and get their money. Another thing that's apparently going on, according to Josh Sweat's Instagram post or Instagram comment section, is he wished Philadelphia thank you. He basically said goodbye in an Instagram comment, which is a little funny. It's like, out of all the places to say something, you go to the Instagram comments to do so, seemingly indicating a trade. This happened earlier this morning, and yet Josh Sweat remains a Philadelphia Eagle. You mentioned him a couple of minutes ago, but to me, it feels like something that has to be done now after signing Bryce Huff.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, the writing's on the wall. I feel like anytime you get an Instagram social media post or anything like that, I mean, I don't want to. It's so difficult in this time period, right? Because again, like you want to just rush to go, oh my gosh, this is happening. This is something. But even like if we think back to just as early as just 1 year ago,
Right.
like Slay is saying like, peace out, I'm gone, and kind of the same deal for James Bradbury. We're thinking he's not returning, and it's an about face because CJ Gardner-Johnson is not going to work out, and the next year, oh hey, you're back, we love you, like so. It still could happen, and that's where I'm like tempering a little bit of expectations. But I do agree, like the writing seems to be more so on the wall because, to your point, you signed an acquisition like a Bryce Huff. You need to make room for him. You're not paying a guy like that to just be a second string, rotational pass rusher there. He may rotate some, but that's one of your starters. And so you got to figure out who you're going to trade on that side. And the fact that, Sweaty's on Instagram and saying, I'm going to miss y'all and things like that. It seems to be Howie. I would imagine at least that Howie said, hey, look, we're going to trade you. And maybe it's they've gotten a couple different offers. So it's just Howie taking a little bit of time, seeing what the max can get, maybe a few other calls of some other teams interested last minute. But I would be shocked if it goes into, I don't know. I mean, honestly, tomorrow, like if we don't get something tomorrow, I'll be kind of surprised because I don't think you're Josh Sweat and you're saying, I'm going to miss y'all. And it's okay. Well, there's no trade offer on the table and nothing's happening. So we'll see. But yeah, probably going to happen.
We still have Haason Reddick. I mean, we still have to either give Reddick a new deal or trade him. Like that. Josh Sweat, you could technically just do nothing with and make him play the final year of his deal and then let him walk for nothing next season, which I don't think that they want to do because they want to get something in return for him. But technically, if everything falls through, it's like, Josh, you have a contract, you got to play. And then he plays, and then he walks in free agency next season, gets a brand new bag, and it's great. However, when it comes to Haason Reddick, I mean, the guy is basically begging you for a new deal or begging you to be traded, and there's no way that they keep both, right? And so maybe it becomes where they trade Josh Sweat in order to get a safety. Budda Baker's name has always been thrown around there. Maybe Haason Reddick is a part of a deal like that. We just don't know. But we got to remember, free agency always kind of does this, right? there are big names that go right off of the board. And you saw it yesterday when immediately DeAndreSwift, and then a couple of hours later, Saquon Barkley, and big Kirk Cousins drops. And then it slows down a little bit. And now you have a situation where people are trying to figure out, well, what are you going to do, with other quarterbacks that are available right now in terms of the Bears quarterback who no one seems to want? Or what are you going to do with Haason Reddick or Josh Sweat, or with the safety position? It slows down a little bit. I thought we'd get another big move today. We still might, and obviously we'll go live as soon as that happens. Make sure to sub hit the notification bell as well. But maybe it slows down and you get something tomorrow or something Thursday with negotiations happening, because Philadelphia knows they have two really good pass rushers who are deserving of a pretty good asking price in terms of draft picks, and they probably want a second or third round pick, and teams are probably offering them fourth and fifths, and now it's a standoff until one of them goes ahead and submits.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm looking at some comments here to try to verify. I can't see anything. I saw Tyson saying that ESPN a Buda Baker trade for Josh Sweat, but there's nothing official. So I hear the rumors and speculation, but I'm literally refreshing and everything else, which is what we're doing. This is, again, we've talked about it, but all day, the entire day, it's just sitting here, just refreshing and trying to figure out the reports, which is why if you haven't already hit the like button again, that helps us out. We appreciate it. But shout out to all you guys, because we're in the same boat of trying to figure out what's real, what's not, speculation, rumors, reports. If I don't know, I suppose, even though it's not official, a Buda Baker trade could potentially happen. I know that much earlier today, and there's probably been multiple reporters saying this, but Daniel Jeremiah was saying there's, likelihood of Howie Roseman trading for a secondary player. And does that mean a safety? If he wanted Xavier McKinney, like you were talking about, well, hey, he's off the table, but that doesn't mean you necessarily have to go after a free agent. Why don't you just go ahead and trade if you're going to get rid of a Josh Sweat, or you're trying to move a Haason Reddick and either get draft picks or get a different player? So it would be, I will say it would be surprising, but it would not be unlike Howie to pull off a blockbuster trade like that and say, well, you know what, we were linked to Buda for, it seems like 5 years. And finally, you ended up getting Buda Baker. So we'll see there. If you had to pick, I don't know, are you more on the camp of that Josh Sweat gets on the move or is on the move, or Haason Reddick, or I guess both? Do you feel like both?
I mean, honestly, I think both. I think what we've led up to is the fact that both need to go, and that's only because Reddick wants so much money. If they came back today and said Haason Reddick signed a 3-year, $19.5 million deal, I'd be floored. I think him and Bryce Huff together would be absolutely incredible. But I mean, if I wanted to sign for 19.5 and he wants 25, there's a massive gap there for someone who you would think a team like Chicago or a team like the Cardinals or a team that needs a pass rusher, Texans, would offer a second or a third with a plethora of picks and money and sign him and move on with it. So I expect that. Sweat seems like a guarantee, because I don't think they want to give Sweat another big contract. I think Sweat wants another big contract, but you're kind of in this limbo zone where it's like, we like Josh Sweat, but we don't like Josh Sweat as much as Josh Sweat likes Josh Sweat. And so I think he's for sure gone. But again, what's the asking price? Because I think that as Eagle fans, we want a second or a third. I think the reality is a fourth or a fifth, because that's kind of always how trades work out. It's always less than what you would expect unless you're trading up to number 1 overall in the draft or trading for Russell Wilson, right? It's always less than you expect. And so I think the number is probably the negotiating factor right now. We're kind of still waiting for that to go ahead and happen. Quickly, though, for those who did just join us, I do want to reiterate the fact that the Eagles did make a signing, and that is why we went ahead and went live, because Adam Schefter confirmed you're getting DeVante Parker on a 1-year deal. It's 4.69 fully guaranteed that goes in his bank account, but only 1.2 of that, as you see here, comes via the Philadelphia Eagles, as New England eats the rest. So New England very happy to get rid of DeVante Parker. Very clearly it shows there. Very new changing of the guard over there in New England. But Parker is 31 years old. He's not had 1,000 yards receiving since 2019. And when Eagle fans think DeVante Parker, they think, LSU, Odell Beckham Jr., early days with Miami. I mean, he was a really good receiver, but this is not a big-time signing, and this is not a signing that is guaranteed to make the roster. Philadelphia could draft somebody. Philadelphia could also sign somebody, and make a lot more of a dent for a wide receiver 3. I'd bring back Olamide Zaccheaus if I was really being honest with you here, in terms of a little bit younger and knows the system, or at least, the players of the system, because you have a new system going in. But this is not anything that I think would be crazy. At best, he's a Julio Jones that's a little bit younger, and at worst, he doesn't make the roster.
Yeah. I mean, you always get some people that are extra hyped on it. This is probably a little bit of a troll, but Jam says Parker's a dog. We got our wide receiver 3. I don't know that I'm going as far as that. But
I don't know about a dog.
It is. And also, too, I mean, you talk about like DeVante Parker is mainly on the outside. Like he plays as an outside receiver. So it's not even really as much of a wide receiver 3, unless I guess there's the counter argument to it. If he were to even win out on the spot, I'm still of the camp of thinking that he might very well not be your wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
we'll see. Again, it's a depth signing there, but could possibly be, hey, you know what? We want to use DeVonta Smith a little bit more in the slot. We would love to see that. He's the weapon, Kellen
Yeah.
Moore in the offense there. So, I think regardless, honestly, of who you sign, like we're going to see Smitty in the slot. But yeah, it's a little bit curious because he has lacked separation. You brought up the stat earlier of lacking separation. I think it's been for like the last 3 seasons. He's been like
Yeah.
near the very
It's not been
bottom
good.
in separation.
Not been
So,
good.
it's we'll see. Maybe you find it all of a sudden. I feel like that's one that sticks with you, whether you can separate or not. But maybe he can find it all of a sudden and do better. But yeah, just 1.2, so it doesn't hurt that much.
Let's wrap up by mentioning quickly that everyone's dream free agency would have included, I think, Patrick Queen. We all wanted Patrick Queen. He officially will not be going to Philadelphia as he goes in the division to the Pittsburgh Steelers on a deal to me that doesn't seem ridiculous. 3 years, $41 million. Again, we talk about Howie being a little different, going big after running back. I thought maybe you could go big after a linebacker. Not the case. I think Josie Jewell out of Denver is probably your last hope if you want Philly to sign a starting linebacker in free agency. There are a couple of other names that are a little bit older, Levante David, Devin White. Like there's some older name guys, but if you wanted kind of a younger, more established, long-term option, Josie Jewell is probably what's left after seeing Queen go to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. It feels like he is one of the top options there. I mean, there's some mid-tier, or I guess mid-level, possibilities, but I'm kind of with you. And I've seen kind of a few arguments already, like on Twitter and things like that. But in terms of, you're right, you're going to spend money on a running back. I mean, honestly, it's close-ish. The contract numbers for a Saquon Barkley versus going with Patrick Queen. Personally, if it was me, I would have said, "Hey, let's spend that money on Patrick Queen."
We know.
It's we got Saquon, so the offense is going to be phenomenal. There's just a ton of holes that we need to fill on the defensive side. So, hey, I at the same time, even with some criticism, some disagreements, which is perfectly fine, as opposed to some people can't disagree ever with what this team does. We'll see, and I'll be glad to be proven wrong. But as of the moment, I'm like, I just don't know that you pay a running back that amount of money. And especially when you're looking at the makeup of our team and the holes that we have to fill. But, we've seen crazier things. And like we've been talking about here, there could be a trade very soon. And, it becomes a moot point. You're like, hey, you know what? We got the running back. We got a safety filled in.
Yeah.
Linebacker going to be fine. We're going to draft some guys. So there still is some options. But yeah, I would have personally rather spend that money on linebacker than Saquon Barkley.
Ryan Grebe, when super chatting about DeVante Parker, we're better off having a corpse than Parker as wide receiver 3. Neat, he says. Well,
okay.
He's I don't know, a corpse, but he's definitely up there.
Drastic there, but yeah.
It happens. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump off. We wanted to give you guys the latest update. We're always trying to be first on all these crazy things that are happening. And, of course, if Philadelphia makes another big move today, tonight, tomorrow, the next day, we'll be the first ones on it, as we always are. Make sure to hit that sub button, notification bell. Philadelphia has added a wide receiver. Will he actually be on the roster? That remains to be seen, but so far it's been a very interesting past couple of days in NFL free agency. Here's to hoping that some trades and other signings are coming, especially on the secondary, but we'll see about that. For Josh Davis, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off. See you guys.
Go Birds.